It's doubling down time. So, the last episode of The Last of Us introduced a gay romance between two characters that weren't portrayed all that much in the game at all, Bill and Frank. In the game, as far as I've been told, you meet Bill and he asks you to basically go and find Frank because they've had a fight, and you find Frank and he is dead. He left Bill with a suicide note basically saying, "Oh, I hate you, you ruined my life, etc." A spurned lover moment, okay? Whereas in the TV show, they actually focus practically an entire episode on Bill and Frank's romantic relationship, and they have a happy ending instead of the decidedly bad one in the game. So it's a major departure from the games to build this relationship in a majorly different way. And a lot of people are now saying, "Oh, this is the moment, this is when the show goes woke," and I gotta disagree. Because here's the thing, why should we, as the counterculture against the wokest hordes, cede the ground of an entire sexuality, gay, to the wokists? What possible reason is there? Is gay an inherently wokist position? Is it inherently leftist political talking point? I don't think so. Bill and Frank in this TV show, which I did my little video on yesterday, and also done it on Deb's channel, and I did get some usually left-wing oriented Twitter messages about it, which I do find rather amusing, is the entire romance is presented in such a way that I actually thought it was a great romance because there is no focus on the fact that they are gay. They don't mention it at all. They don't talk about their identity. They don't talk about how they've been oppressed by the patriarchy. They don't talk about how this is a liberating experience. There is really no leftist talking points at all in there beyond, I suppose, that they are gay, but they live out a fairly conservative lifestyle. I mean, Bill is a prepper who survived the zombie apocalypse by being the kind of guy who's built a secret bunker in his house. He's the kind of guy that closes himself off from society and builds a wall around his place with automated flamethrowers and mines and booby traps. And together, there's no gay orgies, there's no pride parades, there's no dog costumes, there's no abhorrent sexual acts, because that is what the left does to homosexuality. The left turns what should be simple an expression of love into something abhorrent. Something in many cases straight up disgusting. You've seen the stuff at the pride parades, the dog costumes, the people talking about drinking pee by the gallon, the literal gay orgies, the whole monkeypox thing, which was a thing for a moment until they realized, how does this spread again? Oh, right. Because the left, the wokest, promote a culture of degeneracy. Like, you should be proud of your sexuality as a thing, as an identifying marker that should be embraced, rather than it merely being love. The left manages to take love, which should be a nice, pure, innocent, and good emotion, and turns it into something disgusting, into something obscene, into something extreme, and often, occasionally, also pointed towards people that should not be inclined to be recipients of it, or should even have a concept of it. You know what I'm talking about. Whereas, there's no reason for that it can't be a positive, conservative, quote-unquote, variant on homosexuality. Two people who choose to live their lives together, maybe even raise a kid, for example, or you could make arguments that it would be better with a mixed parent household, sure, maybe, I haven't looked into it, frankly, but two normal people raising a kid together in a normal, loving household, and in the case of Bill and Frank, not even that. There isn't even a third party that you could potentially argue is being damaged by this. It is simply two survivors of the apocalypse that choose to live the apocalypse together. I mean, why on God's good earth should this be a leftist talking point? It's kind of like when the wokists abandoned free speech and proudly said that no, free speech isn't free, we've got hate speech, we've got restrictions, we've got regulations, we've got rules. You can't just have free speech, you'll hurt people. It was a ridiculously massive error to seed that ground strategically, and of course it was done because they genuinely believe that shit. And now, the wokists are simply known as that part of politics that hates free speech, the people who will oppress you, the people who will cancel you. All of these negative attributes have been attributed to the modern day wokists because they embraced it, because they embody it. And then they look at our side and go, oh, you're homophobic, you hate the gay, you're bigoted. Why should we? Like, again, what is displayed here is, and you could argue that it's a bad TV show episode, and I would agree, because I don't care about these characters, I don't know them, I have no previous relation to them from the show. All I saw was that we took a whole episode break for a random-ass flashback for a couple of characters that aren't Joel or Ellie or anybody that I've come to know or care about, and we're watching them live out their lives. I'm already not particularly interested in this random zombie show, so I certainly don't see any reason why I should be interested in these two characters who are now also dead. But the reactions to it, accusing it of being woke, okay, again, what precisely about it was woke? Beyond the relationship. They were self-sufficient. Bill was a prepper. They made their own little area. They weren't very inclusive at all, in that they didn't allow anyone to live in their neighborhood. They only dealt with Joel and Ellie, as far as we know. Even when Frank was like, I need friends, I'm gonna build up the boutiques, this is gonna be a town again, Bill was like, no, we have a closed community here, nobody gets in, no immigration policy. Bill is remarkably based, honestly. And we should not go to the point where we simply call anything and everything woke in an effort to try and push that either. Because now, at that point, we are the ones trying to make something into something that it is not. And it reminds me of the whole, the Avatar Way of Water thing, where a ton of people and commentators leapt on it and was like, this is going to be woke, this is going to be awful, this is going to fail, it's going to be dreadful, it never earn its money back. And there were indications that it might be true. The director was talking about toxic masculinity, for example. That's a nice big red flag, and no doubt about it. But the movie came out, and it has succeeded enormously, to the point where it actually has become profitable, apparently. And I don't see any reason why we should view this as a, well, defeat. From what I've heard, the story is about, I haven't seen it, mind you, so I could be completely wrong, but about raising children, like raising the kid of the two other characters. Again, I could care less about Avatar, frankly. But it didn't sound that bad. And what we know as well is that the mainstream movie-going audience are not particularly fond of wokist nonsense. Which is why most woke TV shows, like The Rings of Power or Velma, slap into the ground, faceplant again and again, harder and harder. Because wokeism is not very popular at all. If Avatar The Way of Water was overtly woke, and again I haven't seen it so maybe it is, I don't think it would have succeeded. Particularly not in a year where Maverick, the least woke movie I think I've damn near ever seen, succeeds beyond all expectations. We need to be careful to not paint ourselves into a corner here, is basically what I'm saying. We should not simply go into hardcore opposition mode and lash out at anything and everything because we are in opposition. We are about to enter into a period where our side, the genuine counterculture at the moment, will become the norm again. The pendulum has swung, and it is currently swinging towards us. The next few years, we are the ones who are going to be in the positions of power. We are the ones who are going to have TV shows and entertainment made for us because we are the blatantly obvious majority. And so there is no reason for us to maintain that opposition mindset, that inferiority mindset. We should instead be moving forward and trying to shape what comes next instead. By giving positive feedback to things that are positive, by encouraging what is not woke, and by continuing to slap down on what is woke. At least That is my point of view here, because here's the thing too. I have also seen people talk about the idea of like cultural neutrality being a bad thing, that we must govern ourselves via a moral means, and if we must, then it should be a Christian means. And hell yeah, no, if we must govern ourselves purely via morality alone, then I would certainly prefer Christian morality over left-wing morality, but I also think that there is a better neutral morality there. Not inspired by any particular religion or creed, but simply a more humanitarian one, rather than the, well, humanitarian in the left-wing meaning of today. The simple idea of just leaving each other alone? This is the Norwegian in me here, because Norwegians, we are remarkably independent-minded when it comes to our interpersonal relationships. We don't care what other people do. If somebody wants to be gay in the privacy of their house, we don't care. Somebody wants to be Christian, we don't care. If somebody wanted to even be woke and didn't tell anyone about it, so what? And if they wish to consume media or matter specifically designed to appeal to them, great, so long as it's also being made for everyone else too. So long as it is being made first and foremost for, well, what people would normally like to see. In this case, The Last of Us appears to be made for the fans of Last of Us, which is exactly what I would want. I would want a 40k show to be made for 40k fans. I would want a Star Wars show to be made for Star Wars fans, and so on and so on. Plus, here's the thing as well. I am old enough to remember when the Christian conservatives were an actually sizable political force, and they were not a whole lot better than the wokest left today. The only, in fact, I would say that if they had the tools and the tactics that the woke have today, in the form of social media and influencers, for example, they would have been just as bad, if not worse. They too tried to cancel shit. They too tried to cancel people and hobbies and cast them in a negative image, but they didn't have the authority and the institutional power to do so, and when they did do so, we didn't have the tools to see that they were doing it. We didn't have social media, we didn't have Twitter. It wasn't a culture war battle at the time, and so 99% of it was either never noticed, or it was ridiculous nonsense like Jack Thompson, for example, which everyone simply laughed at. My point being, I don't think there was anything woke in that episode. Nor do I think we should make it into a woke thing. In fact, I think we should claim it as our own thing instead. And be, okay, you want to talk about a positive representation of homosexuality. Well, this is about as positive as it gets. Nobody's being hurt by what they are doing, other than the raiders who try to take their shit, I guess. Nobody's being inconvenienced by this. There is no agenda being pushed. There is no focus on the identity. They aren't complaining about being oppressed. There is nothing left-wing here. And so instead we should go, yeah, no, this is a positive representation of our interpretation of this sexuality. There are no gay pride parades, there are no gay orgies, there is no spreading of the monkeypox, there is nothing like that. It seems to simply be a relatively wholesome romance between two adult, consenting human beings. And I see no reason why we should cede that ground. Do let me know what you think in the comment section down below, though, as I imagine there are some strong opinions on this, and it might be a very interesting discussion topics for the future, because, again, I'm a Norwegian. We are very, very personal-minded when it comes to what we do in the privacy of our own spheres, and I doubt I'll ever convert to either of the extremes in this case, but who knows? Maybe you've got a good argument for why it was woke. Maybe I missed something. Entirely possible. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.